What's up, everybody, and welcome to episode 158 of the Stand Up Guys podcast. I am your host, the incomparable Zach Jones, joined as always by, the Ninth Wonder, Chocolate Thunder, eating that stink eye and getting that pink eye, lover of the vag and the tarnished sheriff's badge. He's got two for the pink, one for the stink, tattooing the ladies with his Indian ink, the phenomenal A.J. Singh.
Hello, everyone.
And not even any bad words in that one, so I think we're safe even from YouTube. Well, guys, this episode we will be reviewing episode 3 of Ahsoka, but we'll save that for the back half of the show just in case there's anyone who has not seen it yet and wants to catch up before we get into spoilers. But AJ, it's been a while since we just talked. In the interim, have you been watching anything or doing anything?
Honestly, no. My nephew's birthday just,
right.
He just passed, so we were just doing preparations for that. Been going in and out of the house, getting like different monitors for his computer and stuff. He's got a new computer, and it's been a lot of getting cake and this and that.
Oh, did you get him like a gaming computer?
Yeah. It's an Alienware. It's like a subsidiary of Dell. Got him like one of the entry-level computers, He's only like 11 years old.
Right.
But this should last him a little while.
Yeah, that should have made him happy.
Yeah, oh, definitely. He was excited. He was ecstatic to have it, yeah.
Although he mostly plays like Minecraft and Roblox, doesn't he?
Yeah, that's pretty much the only two games he has on there right
now. Well, since we last had a regular kind of show, I have watched a lot of things, but I don't want to bury the lead. Now, AJ, longtime viewers of the show, well, remember that I'm fond of a little show, a certain hit sitcom on CBS starring Ted Danson by the name of Becker.
Oh, right.
And I've talked about on the show how it saddens me that it's not really streaming anywhere. Well, that's kind of a lie. Supposedly, the first 2 seasons are streaming on, Pluto, which is one of those, free streamers with commercials type things.
Okay.
But I'm like, no, sir, that's not good enough. But I didn't want to just, keep, finding low quality vids on YouTube.
Yeah.
So sometimes, AJ, sometimes you got to be the change you want to see. Sometimes you got to put your money where your mouth is.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to buy Becker, the complete set on DVD.
How many seasons is that?
This is a 6-season show.
All right.
And I will say, I'm not even a big advocate of physical media, because watching this, I'm like, God damn, it's a pain in the ass to always be changing discs and stuff. But I'm like, maybe if I show my love and you, the audience, show your love and buy Becker on DVD, you will convince the powers that be to finally give it the streaming it deserves.
Bunch of Becker heads.
That's right. Becker heads unite again. Beckermania is running wild. But my thing is well, I guess I am glad that there are people that collect physical media still, just because in case somebody does take something off streaming or censors it in a stupid way.
Doing that,
yeah, Disney does it a lot, stupid little censorship things too. So at least the original's out there somewhere,
Yeah.
So I'm glad for that sake that there's people that collect physical media. But to me, I'm it's a pain, but for Becker, I'll make the sacrifice.
You came through.
I think some people think it's all a bit, especially my brother, but I genuinely do enjoy it.
I mean, the fact that you went out and bought the DVDs tells me it's real.
I would love to see Becker, the DVD set, on the top of the Amazon charts, just out of nowhere.
They didn't have it on Blu-ray?
No, that's another crime. Let's get them to upgrade while we're at it.
Yeah. I need Becker on Blu-ray.
Got to get it in 4K.
Yeah, I need all that Ted Danson.
What else have I watched? There are a couple shows I'm watching week to week, which I shouldn't do, but the new Futurama started, so I've been watching that.
Oh, okay. How was it?
It's more Futurama. I think it's still quality.
Okay.
So if you like Futurama, I can't see you not liking it.
Mm-hmm.
3rd season of Only Murders in the Building started up, so I've been watching that.
Okay.
Still enjoying that show. Have you watched that at all?
No.
If anybody out there is a murder mystery person, I recommend it. It's, a murder mystery, but with some humor, mixed in.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking of which, I took a chance on an Amazon show, basically because it's that exact same thing as like a murder mystery with humor.
Okay.
It's called Deadlock.
Yeah.
So it takes place in Tasmania.
Mm-hmm.
And I really liked it. And it's not a huge commitment. It's just a one like season show. I want to say it was like 8 episodes, maybe 10. But like I liked it. You know, other countries have a very different sense of humor, I feel like, especially like the British and like Australians. And I actually don't know if this was actually filmed in Tasmania or if the people like I don't know their exact, but like just their sense of humor, like dry sense of humor, like it definitely made me laugh at times.
Okay.
And like the mystery was compelling as well. I actually really enjoyed it. I finished up season 2 of Strange New Worlds.
Okay.
Not as good as season 1. I don't know. They just they had some gimmick episodes. Like one of them, they actually did like a musical episode, which was an interesting experiment. I don't know if it fully landed for me, but it was interesting. But I don't know. I think they've kind of gotten away from like the sci-fi and are maybe focusing a little too much on like different like relationships and romance things. You know.
Yeah, I hate when shows like that aren't musicals have that musical episode. Like, I don't know. I just don't stay in your own lane.
Do you remember? I don't know if you watched it because I think it was in a later season. But did you watch The Flash when they did their musical episode?
I think so. Yeah.
It was really weird because every time someone like broke into music, you could tell that it was like, you know, like they were lip syncing to like a pre-recorded thing, and it just always looked and sounded funny. Anytime they broke into a song, I'm like, this is weird.
Yeah.
So again, it was like I give you props for trying it, but it didn't really land.
No.
Another show I finished season 2 of Yellow Jackets.
Okay.
This show, season 2, like it wasn't bad, but I didn't get through it like nearly as fast. Like season 1 was compelling enough that I got through it, you know, pretty fast. And then season 2, I think, kind of drug its feet a lot, and it took me a little longer to get through it. It's one of those things where they keep introducing like, oh, this weird thing happened, and I'm kind of like, I think you need to kind of start getting to where you're going a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of I felt like it was a little slow paced in my opinion, and also like Elijah Wood is in the second season, and I really feel like they wrote themselves into a corner in some respect, and like his character's action was kind of like a Deus Ex Machina just to get him out of what they wrote before, you know? I mean, I don't know for sure, but it seemed a little convenient to me. I don't know. And then I also watched a couple movies. So one of them, so I didn't have Netflix, but then like I'm pretty sure they won't admit to it, but my nephews at home were like on my PS3 at home, and I think somehow like I was logged into that, and it allowed them to actually like resubscribe to my Netflix, you know?
Okay.
So I was like, oh, okay. So I had it and I didn't watch much, but there's this new action movie on there called Heart of Stone that has Gal Gadot.
Oh, okay. I think I've heard of this.
And yeah, it's not very good.
Yeah, I've heard that.
It almost like it's a spy thriller type of thing. Like, but you know, I think they were almost kind of going for like a female James Bond type of thing, but it didn't work. It was just, it's completely meh. It's just generic and like nothing really exciting about it, you know.
I don't know how she's an A-list actress, man. Like, her acting is so cardboard and so like there's no acting there. It's just her reading a line. That's pretty much it. Yeah,
I mean, looks go a long way, of course. And like, I think with her look and accent, like she worked perfectly for Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
But like, even with like Wonder Woman 1 worked because, you know, the script overall was pretty good. And then the 84 movie didn't work at all because the script was terrible.
Right.
So I think if you put her, give her the right material, she can pull it off. But I don't think she has like a huge range of acting right now.
Right.
You know, it's just like I'm a big fan of Keanu Reeves, and he's in a lot of movies that I love. And I would say that his acting range is limited, but he picks projects that plays to his strengths.
Yeah.
And so it works.
Yeah.
So I think if she is careful just to do that, pick projects that work to her strengths, I think she can still do good work. And honestly, like an action movie should play to her strengths. And maybe if this movie was just, I don't know, better constructed, better written, maybe she would have been fine in it.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It just, to me, it's a forgettable, like you watch it and you forget it the next day kind of movie,
Gotcha.
And then I also watched on Paramount Plus Confess Fletch, starring John Hamm. Are you familiar with the Fletch movies at all?
I know that Chevy Chase used to be Fletch.
Yeah, and so those movies, I know I saw those movies when I was like really, really young. I don't remember anything about them.
No.
But yeah, basically he's like this journalist, but he's like a very witty, very fast talking, and he gets caught up in this situation where he's accused of murder, and he gets roped up in this thing, and it's a fun little movie, a lot of witty banter. I don't know if it's like a must watch, but if you got a couple hours to kill, I can safely recommend it.
Okay.
Certainly, I would recommend it over Heart of Stone.
All right.
But yeah, it was fun, and if they made another one, I'd probably check it out eventually. Nothing I would go to the theater for, but yeah, it was fun enough. And then I also, gaming-wise, I finally got around to playing The Last of Us Part 2, okay. Which is a couple of years old now. I did like it. It's a good game. My only criticisms are, number one, just like so many games, it's too long.
Yeah.
Especially for like a survival horror game. Like, do you really want to play something tense for like that many hours?
True, yeah.
You kind of want to... I don't think you want to extend a game like that too long. And also, like there's a part in that game where you expect them to roll credits. You're like, okay, yeah, this seems like the end, and it's not. It just keeps going, and you're like, oh yeah, you needed to cut this sooner for sure. And then my only other criticism, I don't know if you've played any other Naughty Dog games like the Uncharted games or anything, but they always have in parts kind of crazy difficulty spikes that are kind of annoying. Like, to me, I always play on normal difficulty, and I want, like, I don't mind a challenge, but I want it to be kind of like consistent.
Yeah.
And like all Naughty Dog games have parts where you just like die 15 times or something, and then barely make it through, and I'm like, I don't know, it just seems to me like they need to work on making their difficulty seem more consistent.
Right.
Because it's like there's certain parts of the game where you're like, okay, this is not by any other game standard like a normal difficulty right now. Yeah. And you're like, okay, I'll die a bunch of times and figure this out. But it's kind of annoying.
Yeah.
Have you played any games recently?
No, man. The nephews have the TV at all times.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're in a situation where it's kind of rough.
I played a little bit of God of War. Like, there was like a free download for PlayStation like a few months ago.
Oh, okay.
I played a little bit of that, but the nephews played it, and that was pretty much it. Then after that,
is that like the 2018 version of God of War?
Yeah.
It's a good game. Mm-hmm. I do want to play Ragnarok. I haven't bought it yet, but probably next time it goes on sale, I'll buckle down and get it.
Yeah, go for it. It's a good game.
All right. Well, it's been a while since we did a story or two. Should I see if I got anything in that respect?
Yeah.
Okay, I got one here that I thought was where is it? This woman called into a radio station. Okay. A woman's story of using her mom's, this is of course like a British story, of mom's adult toy gets much worse as she makes a new discovery. You'd be forgiven for thinking that in a story about a woman using her mom's sex toy, that that'd be the worst part of the tale to tell. But it gets so much worse. So I guess I'll just paraphrase. Basically, this woman, she was like house sitting for her parents while they're on holiday. And like I think she tries to like cushion the blow of what happened by saying, "Oh, I was, had a couple glasses of wine. I was a little tipsy or whatever."
Yeah.
But she was looking under her parents' bed for somewhere to plug in her phone charger, and she caught this she saw this shoebox, and so she's like decides to go through it, and she finds that her mom's just like massive dildo.
Yeah.
And of course, instead of like doing what a normal person would do and just like putting it back, she's like, "I'm gonna wash this off and use it."
Oh no.
So she uses it, and it gets the job done. But then after she uses it, she happens to see this tag on it. And what she figures out is this is not just any ordinary dildo. It's one of those things where like you can work with a company and actually get like a cast of a real penis. And she figures out that her mom got a cast of her dad's penis.
Oh, no.
And that is what she used.
Oh, that's hilarious.
I mean, the fact that she would call into a radio station and admit this, I mean,
Pretty bold, yeah.
that's pretty bold. But I don't know. I think like I said, I think she tried to cover herself by saying she had a couple glasses of wine. But how many women would do this?
I mean, she made that choice. Like, once she opened up the box and saw what was in there, she had a choice between letting it go and doubling down and going through with this. And she didn't know that it was her dad's penis as a cast made of it. But at that point, she had reached the point of no return. She made a decision. That's rough.
Okay, I have another one. So, I guess in Florida, there's a lot of manatees.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, I guess through the past couple years, there's been, like, actually, like, they're becoming, like, kind of endangered. Like, the number of manatees, like, or numbers are going down.
Yeah.
And so, like, there's a time of year, I guess, or whatever, where they basically have these big, like, manatee orgies.
Yeah.
Where, like, they're breeding. And so there was one article I saw where it said, like, people were calling the cops, and the cops were basically like, just leave the manatees alone. let them get their business done.
Yeah.
But then this story also sprang out of this. Beloved Florida manatee dies after high-intensity incestuous gay sex.
Wow.
It says, Florida man never fails to disappoint us. This time, it's Florida manatee. And it's one of the most famous ones. Hugh the manatee, 38, was a visitor favorite at Mote Marine Laboratory and Aquarium in Sarasota. He was known, among other things, for predicting the winner of the Super Bowl. Sadly, on April 29th, Hugh passed away. He didn't exactly go out in a blaze of glory, though, or in any PG-13 manner. Shortly before his death, Hugh engaged in high-intensity sexual behavior, the aquarium said to ABC7. Yet he didn't hump the living daylights out of another lady manatee. Instead, he was on the receiving end for another male manatee, and that male also happened to be his brother Buffett.
Oh, wow.
A necropsy, that is animal autopsy, later confirmed that Hugh had died from a ruptured colon alongside other internal injuries. Oh, the Hugh manatee. Did they really need to do like an autopsy on this guy to figure like I guess science?
Sure, there
wanted
are
to
witnesses.
The details about Hugh's death were initially quite so explicit. At first, they simply let the public know that Hugh had passed away unexpectedly on April 29th. After Hugh showed a change in his behavior earlier in the day, animal care staff began closely monitoring him. Saturday late afternoon, Hugh suddenly became unresponsive in his habitat. Mote Aquarium said in the April 30th statement. Don't get us wrong, the aquarium knew exactly what Hugh had been up to with his brother. They just had to confirm whether he died from playing the catch or to his pitcher. To that end, the aquarium said that a necropsy would determine Hugh's exact cause of death.
Whether he was the catcher or the pitcher, I think we already know now.
Well, yeah, I think they already knew that part. I don't know. They just were like, was this natural causes or did this actually kill him? However, the proper test would take at least 8 weeks. Jeez. I feel like you could do it sooner than that. Oh, look at his ruptured butthole. Well, those weeks passed, and the aquarium got their results. That prompted a new statement. Quote, given the recent media coverage of the events surrounding the passing of our beloved and recently deceased resident manatee Hugh, it is important that we share an overview of the facts to ensure complete clarity of the cause of Hugh's death. Moat Aquarium wrote on Facebook. Those facts are decidedly more explicit. Just a heads up, if you don't want to know about traumatic male-on-male manatee sex, this is your chance to get off all the ride. Now, the thing about male manatees is they get randy during mating season. Whether in the wild or captivity, for 2 months every year, they undergo seasonal behavioral changes, including but not limited to an increase in sexual behavior. And that was the time of year for Hugh and Buffett. On that day of Hugh's passing, Hugh and Buffett engaged in natural yet increased mating behavior, the aquarium said. Due to the marine mammal's horniness, the aquarium put them under increased observation. That put them in the front row seat for what USDA APHIS report described as high-intensity sexual behavior between two adult male manatees. According to the USDA, Buffett rectally penetrated Hugh at around 10 a.m. Man, they really did their details on this, like it's an actual murder case. Shortly afterward, the aquarium staff collected a fecal sample that contained fresh blood. Ugh. Yet, according to the aquarium, Hugh didn't show any obvious signs of discomfort or distress, and activity continued to interact with Buffett. As a result, the two engaged in multiple penetrations throughout the day, with the last one occurring around 5:15 p.m. After that session, Buffett swam away, but Hugh sank to the bottom of the pool unresponsive. By the time aquarium staff got to him, he was dead. Man, I'm going to skip. This is a long article, but yeah.
This is brutal, man. Oh.
Basically, long story short, is they did way too many tests on this.
Yeah.
They could have wrapped this case up much sooner without the gory details.
We don't need all this info. The penetration was brutal.
Wouldn't it be weird if humans were the same, to where they just get horny 2 months out of the year, but super horny?
There'd be so many crimes. There'd be times when people just couldn't leave the house because there were horny men outside.
That's probably pretty true. I mean, that's probably true already, actually, if you're a woman.
It wouldn't even be just women, though. Men would be getting raped, too, if people got that horny.
I guess in Japan, they've had this for a while now, where it was such a problem with women getting groped on public transportation that they have a train that's only for women, so that doesn't happen.
Yeah, I know their camera has to make noise because there were too many people taking pictures of
oh
skirts
right
and stuff.
Yeah, that's crazy too,
man.
We got some time left. I was just trying to find a story. Okay. This one I haven't read, and it's a little long, so I don't know if I'll go through the whole thing, but I found the headline interesting. Spider whose bite can cause fatal erections causes supermarket evacuation in Australia. Small things can lead to big consequences. We got a great example of that last week when an Austrian supermarket, I guess it's Austria, not Australia, Austrian supermarket issued a swift emergency evacuation order. What could have caused the shop to take such drastic measures? An armed intruder? A bomb threat? Nope, it was because of a spider. This wasn't just any ordinary 8-legged creepy crawly, though. If it was, the problem would have probably been solved with a quick stomp. The initially mysterious large arachnid was identified as a Brazilian wandering spider, one of the world's deadliest spiders. Its highly venomous bite causes a fascinating list of symptoms, including hours-long erections. Not wanting to subject its clientele or staff to fatal boners, the store quickly offered everyone to evacuate. The store then stayed closed for the next 2 days.
How do you offer everyone to evacuate? Hey, we got a special offer for you. Get the hell out.
Yeah, if you want, you can leave and not be bitten by this horrible spider, but, it's up to you. The store then stayed closed for the next 2 days for a comprehensive swipe to despiderize the interior. The only thing about spiders is it's almost better to kill them right away while you can still see them. I mean, I get that they wouldn't want, probably get too close to this one, but I don't know. It seems like you'd want to try to keep them in sight and kill them while you can see them.
As a grocery store connoisseur, I would not want to go to that one after they try to fumigate or whatever for the spider.
You know, that's one thing, kind of freaky thing, is if you work like in a store where you're unloading boxes that maybe came from other countries, you might open a box and get a spider like that.
Yeah.
You know,
the Exhibit A of the New World's conquest, basically, is going to take over the environment, get rid of all the current species. I think we have that with ladybugs. Like in the U.S., all of our ladybugs are being replaced by like this, I think, Asian beetle, which looks almost the exact same but has more spots on it, and does a lot of the same stuff. But there is like a downside because it can bite you, and it does have other negative consequences also. But it's basically taken right over.
Yeah, because I remember as a kid like playing with ladybugs, and like they don't really do anything to you.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
But it's weird. So they're like look almost the same, but are they like killing ladybugs then and like taking over?
Yeah, I think they have like some sort of bacteria or something that like is not good for ladybugs.
Oh, I see.
It causes them to replace them.
Man, I remember I don't know if it was a foreign spider or not, but my first job I worked in this department store, and I was in the back and I noticed this like huge spider, so I stomped on it and it was pregnant and just like this swarm of baby spiders comes out. So I'm just like vigorously like stomping, trying to kill them all.
Crazy thing is that's happened to me.
Oh yeah.
I was like outside of a house by where the water fountain water thing is, and like I saw a spider there. I stepped on it and like it looked like thousands.
Yeah, it's so disgusting.
And they're so like microscopically small. And you just see like waves of them moving around. It's so horrible.
It's so horrifying to see.
Yeah.
That was nasty.
Yeah.
So the store has now reopened, and the management assures everyone that there's no risk of running into any Brazilian wanderers. Yet the operating company has admitted that they didn't actually find the spider. Oh, that's reassuring. Yeah. Maybe it's still there watching and waiting, ready to give an unsuspecting passerby an erection he'll never forget. The spider incident happened on August 8th in Kremsandornau, a historical town sitting in the Danube River in northern Austria. On the day, the staff of a penny market branch were unpacking a new shipment, which included a box of bananas. That's how it happens, folks. We can only imagine a staff member went a bit bananas when they cut open the box. In addition to potassium-rich fruit, the crate contained a stowaway. On top of the bananas crawled a 4-inch long black and red spider. Now, it's nothing unusual for bugs of all kinds to end up in tropical fruit shipments and find their way halfway across the world. The problem is that some of them can be dangerous. Was this spider a problem? Nobody at the store knew, so they called the fire department. I actually want to maybe skip and just see if I can find the actual, like, what happens when you get bit by one. Because, like, it is a pretty insane thing. Because I think it does... I mean, I think it can eventually kill you. Okay, but why does this one spider cause such a massive operation? Well, that's because Brazilian wandering spiders are dangerous. These arachnids often like to hang on a banana branch looking for tasty prey like crickets, mantids, frogs, lizards, and bats. As a result, they can end up in banana boxes. A Brazilian wandering spider's bite is no joke. Its venom contains at least 6 different neurotoxins that make it one of the deadliest spiders in the world. The bite, which is incredibly painful in itself, causes nearly instantaneous symptoms. The list includes, but isn't limited to, sky-high heart rate and blood pressure, dizziness, nausea, hypothermia, drooling, vomiting, and blurred vision. If you happen to possess a penis, the bite also causes an instant erection that can last for hours. In case that sounds like a good time to you, be aware that your disco stick will feel like you're having intercourse with the business end of a rusty blender the entire time. Should you go... I mean, that's a small price to pay, really.
Darn.
Should it go untreated, the venom can begin to paralyze your muscles, including those responsible for breathing. As you lay on the floor slowly asphyxiating, you can ponder whether it was a good idea to try and cure erectile dysfunction by handling exotic arachnids. You know, the fact that this happens, though, you got to imagine some company has tested, like, the venom and, like, be like, can we just isolate what causes the boners and, like, get rid of all the bad
For
stuff?
sure, yeah.
I mean, if they did that, then they'd be breeding these spiders everywhere and be, like, taking their venom.
How do you know we're not?
Yeah, we could be. Who knows?
These spiders are practically extinct at this point. We're just getting all the boner juice out of them.
You know, I just last night rewatched Avatar 2.
Okay.
And, like, I guess this is like a slight spoiler, but there's this whole subplot near the end of the movie where, like, the bad guys, they kind of hunt down these, like, you know, huge intelligent whales and kill them. Mm-hmm. But they do it just because there's, like, in their brain, there's this gel that apparently stops human aging. And they get this small, like, tube of it, and he's like, this is worth $80 million or whatever. But I was just thinking, if it was the same thing, but it was like, oh, this causes, like, really good boners, it would be the same thing. Yeah. They would still kill those whales.
For sure. No
just
doubt.
For the boner juice.
It might cost more, too.
Yeah. This is worth $80 billion.
How many boners I have in this bottle?
So many boners. All right, AJ, I think it's that time. Do you want to get into Ahsoka and review episode 3?
Yes, do.
All right, guys. Full spoilers. We're going to go in depth on this bad boy. I will say just off the bat, I still am enjoying this series. Probably still in the kind of that 7 to 10 range. I'm liking it. So episode 3 is entitled Time to Fly. We open with Hu Yang training Sabine in some basic lightsaber fighting techniques. Ahsoka suggests Hu Yang teach her the Zatoichi technique, but he says she's not ready for that technique. Do you think that's ever something they'll call back in this show, or if it was just complete throwaway?
She'll be ready for it at some point, though she'll need it at the end. Use the Zatoichi technique. I'm not ready.
You can do it. Oh, Zatoichi, you saved the day.
Good old Zatoichi.
Ahsoka says that Sabine's fighting skills won't be enough and that she needs to open her mind to the Force, which takes a deeper commitment. So Ahsoka has Sabine cover her eyes with a visor and has her kind of try to sense her position and intent as she moves around her and, like, you know, hits her with the stick and whatnot. No. The whole, like, you know, that seems to be a whole thing in Star Wars with, like, the visor. Because, like, even Luke had to put the visor on and, like, deflect, like, little laser beams with the saber and all that. So now we get a scene with Hera where she has a meeting with Mon Mothma and the other senators of the New Republic, and tells her about what happened on Corellia in the last episode with all the Imperial sympathizers that worked for Morgan Elsbeth. One of the senators says that group were outliers, and that there are many former Imperials in the New Republic government who have taken an oath of loyalty. And I think Hera rightfully points out that, you know, that really means nothing, and that she's very dubious of, like, you know, oh yeah, that's basically like a Nazi taking an oath that, oh, I promise to be good. You know?
Exactly.
So it's like, yeah, of course the people should be more dubious of, you know, former Imperials.
Yeah. It definitely seems like the Senate's got its own, like, dubious nature to it also.
You think that?
I think somebody on there is, like, disloyal for sure.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me. I mean, they don't mention if, like, any of them are former Imperials. Although, wouldn't that be kind of, like, even if you're like, okay, we're going to assume, like, you know, some of those people, you know, were just Nazis following orders. Maybe they're not, like, totally bad people, but they kind of got, you know, roped into doing things they shouldn't or whatever. And, like, we're going to be somewhat accepting of them and give them a second chance as long as they take an oath or whatever. Like, it seems like even, like, a government like that would still be maybe dubious of, like, putting them in really high-ranking government positions, you know? Yeah. But Hera tells Mon Mothma about Thrawn and how she'd like to put a party together to investigate the Denob system. But then one of the other senators, I forget his name, accuses her of trying to waste resources in order to try to find Ezra. So he's like, this is personal. You're trying to find Ezra. But, my thing is she has this intelligence. Like, would it really harm them to be like, okay, you can take like a very small like group of men out or something, just rather than ignore it completely. So most of the senators agree with that guy and
I gotta say, like, it didn't make any sense to me. Like you just said, like, to not even try to suss out like what could be happening. Like, just check it out.
Yeah, they get actionable intelligence.
Yeah.
And like, you don't have to commit like an insane amount of resources to it.
Right. Yeah.
But you should. It's enough that you should send at least a small squadron.
Like you're looking at potential, like the leader of the other faction coming back. Like,
exactly.
That's crazy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, most of the other senators agree with that one guy and don't think they need to worry about the Empire coming back because they have no centralized command. But Hera points out Thrawn would change that. He would be a centralized command and get others to follow him. Mon Mothma says she will discuss the matter with the other senators in private, but you get the sense that meeting did not go well and probably will not lead to them helping. We are introduced to Hera's son, Jason, who says he wants to be a Jedi. AJ, I know you didn't watch Rebels, but another major character in Rebels is this guy named Kanan Jarrus, who is a Jedi, and he was him and Hera were a couple, so he's the son of them. Now, I'm not completely sure, because I've never read any of the like. Because you know how like when Disney bought Star Wars, a lot of the stuff in their like expanded universe kind of like isn't official canon anymore, and like they kind of pick and choose like certain things from that. Like Thrawn was a part of that, but other stuff they choose to ignore. Now I believe Han Solo and Leia in that canon had like twins.
Okay.
And I think their names were like Jason and something. I might be wrong about that. I might be totally wrong. I'm not like super in depth with Star Wars, but they of course didn't end up going that route because in like the newer trilogy they just had the one kid, which was Kylo Ren.
Okay.
So Ahsoka tells Sabine that she did a good job today in her training. But Sabine is still dismayed that she can't use the Force. Ahsoka says the Force is in everyone, and then I will quote, talent is a factor. It really takes patience and discipline to master it. And I wrote that because really, like we discussed last time, like the whole like we know whether people like it or not, the whole midi-chlorian thing exists. So like. She says talent, but does it really mean talent, or does it mean like something biological that she would have no control over?
Yeah, I'd like to see them reconcile the midichlorian thing with the with what she's saying.
Like, with like anybody can possibly can the
maybe there's a certain level of midichlorians in like anybody, but then like having more will make you even more talented. I guess I don't know.
I guess you could say something like that. Yeah, that would work. Ahsoka then moves a like small coffee cup and tells Sabine to start small and see if she can do that. Ahsoka has a meeting with Hu Yang. He asks how the training is going. Ahsoka says that Sabine is struggling, but that Hu Yang shouldn't have told her what he did before, where he basically mentioned that like. She's the least force sensitive like person he's ever seen try to like become a Jedi or take the training. Hu Yang says it's true and that the Jedi Academy would have never accepted her. And he also mentions that very few Mandalorians have ever become Jedi. Ahsoka says she doesn't need her to be a Jedi. She just needs her to be herself. Sabine tries and fails to move the cup until she is interrupted by Ahsoka, who has Hera on the line. I guess on I don't know if you'd say the phone. I don't know what they say in Star Wars. The holographic line. So Hera tells them about how she can't join them because the Senate didn't approve the mission.
I can't come, guys.
Yeah. And she's cut off. Now, do you think Hera will do the thing where, like, she sneaks out and helps anyway?
Yeah, she'll do something like that.
I'm guessing something like that happens. But then their communication is cut off when they enter the Denab system. Apparently all communications are getting jammed. Hu Yang's scan shows a ship on the other side of the planet. I imagine from the episode before, this planet is that Cetos planet.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. And he says as well as that there's something large and unknown on the other side of the planet. So they kind of start flying towards that. But then suddenly 6 fighters jets led by Shin Hati and Merrick come out of nowhere and attack them. So Sabine gets in the tail gun, and I wrote, Sabine misses a lot.
Yeah.
But eventually takes out 3 of them. I remember, like, she just kept, like, missing, and then I think eventually she, like, told Ahsoka to do, like, some sort of, like, aerial move that got her in line.
I was like, you got to be purposely trying to miss at that point. Like,
I mean,
really good at missing.
I mean, if her strength isn't like the Jedi stuff, it should at least be that kind of stuff, right?
She's supposed to be a technical person.
So Ahsoka and Hu Yang get a glimpse of this Eye of Sion that they're building. As they approach the ring, Morgan tells Shin to stay clear and that she'll deal with them. And you definitely get the sense that there's tension between Morgan and Shin. Yeah. Like, they don't get along. So Morgan tells her droids to prepare the turbo lasers. And a part of me is like, couldn't they come up with a cooler name than turbo lasers?
Yeah, turbo lasers.
That seems a bit basic. I don't know.
Something like they'd be selling in a commercial. Turbo lasers.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, that's like in the 80s or 90s. You would see like a kids' toys. Buy the laser or turbo lasers. Anyway, Ahsoka tries to dodge the lasers while Hu Yang completes a scan of the ring. As soon as Hu Yang's scan is complete, they get hit, and Hu Yang is powered down, as well as the ship. So Sabine hurries to get the ship back in order, and Shin tells Morgan, again, they don't get along. She's like, I'll finish them off since you can't, or whatever. And I think basically, like, it's weird because I think they're, like, so close now to the inside of the ring that, like, maybe Morgan can't get her turbo lasers, like, aimed at him properly. Yeah. I don't know exactly, but Shin's like, I'll take care of it. So this, I don't know if this was a great idea, but Ahsoka goes outside while Sabine tries to get the ship running. Ahsoka goes outside in a space suit with her lightsaber and basically tries to deflect the shots. Now, one thing, I thought it was funny that, she has a spacesuit that fits her, like, head tentacles, which I guess she would need, but it just is kind of funny. Yeah. And I'm like, how hard would it be to get that thing on? Like, she gets it on fast. But I'm like, it seems like getting, like, her tendrils to line up and get that thing in there would be tricky to me.
I just thought the whole idea of going out there to deflect was, look, it was all you had to, it was the only idea she had. She couldn't do anything else, but if I'm the bad guys, I would aim at the ship that she's standing on rather than her. That's
just what I was thinking. I was like, if I was the bad guys, because they do that. They aim mostly at her, and she deflects them away. I'm like, okay, she's on that side of the ship. Oh, I'll just blow up the other side of the ship,
It's so easy. She's dead meat.
So the bad guys definitely aren't the smartest here.
No.
She does, and also, like, they fly close enough that she's able to, like, cut one in half with her lightsaber. I'm like, my dude, that's a bad idea too. Like, you're shooting, like, stay your distance. It's a distance weapon. So Sabine gets the ship running again and gets Ahsoka back on board. She, like, turns the ship perfectly and gets her, like, in the through there. So now the chase is on. And they end up getting chased around like these large space whales called purgils. Now, AJ, do you remember last episode when we were talking? I talked about that last episode of Rebels and how Thrawn and Ezra were taken away by the big like space whales that can actually go like in hyperspace speed.
Yeah.
So these are those creatures. So yeah, they're flying around, these guys, and there's also a bunch of fog. So eventually Sabine is able to lose them. Hu Yang briefly wakes back up as they land on the planet, which is Cetos. They power down, and they power down Hu Yang because they want to hide from the bad guys. So they're like, even though he just woke up, she's like, "Oh, I got to power you down so they can't scan you." And they power down the ship in the forest to hide from Shin and Merrick, who fly overhead. Sabine says she hasn't seen the space whale since that day Ezra disappeared. They turn Hu Yang back on, and he says the hyperspace ring is still being constructed. So, like, they still have a chance to stop it. But the last drive is being put into place. Hu Yang says the ring would be capable of jumping completely to another galaxy, and that the Jedi have like writings or something where they used to be able to do this by using lanes shared by the Purgle. Now, I have a question, which is like, evolution, usually creatures like evolve out of like, need or necessity. And I'm like, what necessitized these Purgles to evolve to the point where they need to travel at the, faster than the speed of light and have the ability to go to entirely different galaxies?
Yeah. And usually evolution happens like step by step.
Yeah, I mean, time is infinite, I guess, and this did happen in a galaxy far, far away, a long time ago and whatever, but still, yeah, I mean, even over eons, like, part of me is like, why would they have needed to develop this ability?
I don't understand either. How does nature lead to that?
I think more than anything, someone was like, you know what looks cool? Space whales. Yeah. And they're like, we'll figure out a way.
Everybody's got their version. Marvel's got their version of space whales too, kind of. Like with the Chitauri.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah, the Chitauri ride those that are basically space whales. You're right. Mm. It's become a thing now. Space whales. I wonder if DC has a version of space whales. They probably do, to be honest. Probably. I mean, I guess with because we like mentioned last time, like they can already travel like in hyperspeed. Like, why would they need a ring that puts all these together? I guess if you're saying they just need to travel like such a long. More of a distance, like to a whole different galaxy, so maybe they need that extra speed.
So they don't have intergalactic space travel. They just have like within like the galaxy.
I mean, I'm presuming they could travel outside their own galaxy. It would just, even traveling at whatever speeds they can on one hyperdrive, it would take like so long or something. But with this thing, they can just like, The only thing is if like you use this thing to travel to a whole nother galaxy, like you better hope it doesn't break down because you're for sure going to be stranded.
For sure, yeah. Also, how come the bad guys are always so cutting edge with technology? Like they're like, okay, we found this. Okay, we just need 5 hyperdrives and we'll get this going to wherever we need to go. Like, how come there's no like 20 years of R&D going into that?
That is kind of true because like, I guess the Empire had their top scientists or something, but like, it's true. It does seem like this is something they would have had to come up with on their own.
Yeah.
And it's like, you're right. I mean, there are a lot of questions that I'm wondering if this show will like answer in a satisfying way, because it's like you figure Ezra and Thrawn, okay, they were taken by the Purgles to this very distant galaxy. Yeah. And it's like somehow a map to Thrawn was created and, like I said, placed in that temple where Ahsoka got it. I mean, it almost seems like Ezra would have had to be able to tap into that thing where he can somehow go to a temple and travel like an insane distance and set this all up. I don't know. Also, like, I don't know how many episodes this season is, but do you think we're only going to find Thrawn and Ezra at the very end of the series, or do you think we find them midway and see what happened?
I think at the very end.
You think they'll stretch it out to the very end?
Yeah.
I do think if they do that, like, it's likely then they'll do another season of this
Oh,
show.
yeah, for sure.
I mean, with some of these Star Wars shows, I don't know if the idea is to make all of them multiple series or if some of them are just going to be more like mini-series. Because I think they already announced, like, initially the plan for Andor was just to do a 2-season thing.
Okay.
And so I'm not... And it's like, with the Marvel shows, too, it seems like some of those are one-and-dones and some of them are more than one, like Loki. You know, so... But... okay, so yeah, the Purgle are a bit of a mystery to me, but then it ends with Balin telling his men basically to hunt down Ahsoka and Sabine in the forest. So yeah, that was episode 3. Anything else you can think of that you found interesting in that episode? Or where you think things might go next episode?
I've seen other. What do you think about this theory? Like, I've heard other shows like talk about how like they think, what's her name? Her little apprentice.
Oh, Merrick, the masked one, or Shin.
The good one, the good apprentice, who's working for Ahsoka. What's her name?
Oh, Sabine.
Sabine. Yeah. Some people are saying that she's going to turn evil, go to the dark side.
You know, I feel like anytime like there's a Star Wars property, somebody's like, oh, either this good person will turn to the dark side or this bad person will be redeemed in some way, you know. I don't think that.
Okay.
I mean, it's not like they couldn't, but...
I think there's just as good a chance of that bad person being redeemed.
I feel like with especially with Rebels and people, especially kids, had 4 seasons of a show to really like fall in love with those characters, and they're like invested in Sabine. Like I don't really feel like they're going to turn her to the dark side, and I don't get that vibe at all. Anyways, yet at least. The thing I think would be more likely is for either what's his name, Balin or Shin to take more of like a redeemed thing where we find out they're a little bit better. The only other theories I've heard is because that Merrick person has a mask, they're like, you know, oh, could that be Ezra, or could that be another, you know, person in the Star Wars universe? You know,
I don't know if that would be a good reveal. Like, he's supposed to be the big good guy, you know, the hero, and now you're going to turn him into like a little scrub, a villain.
Well, I think people who theorize that would be more like, you know, he's pretending to be bad, but all actually working for the good guys. But for some reason, I mean, I don't know. I think things would maybe get too convoluted if that turns out to be the case. Yeah. But my thing with like certain reveals is like, if they're like, oh, it was somebody from one of the cartoons, season 2, episode 8, I'm going to be like, I don't remember. Yeah, so if they go, if that is like, and it might just be like an underling, and it doesn't even matter who's under the mask. Mm-hmm. But if they do depending on what the reveal is, if I'll probably be like, okay, I'll take your word for it. I don't really know that person, though I can't remember, you know.
Right.
That is one thing. If your universe is too expansive with too many characters, sometimes a reveal like that will be like, oh, 1% of the people understood that.
Yeah.
The rest of us, you got to kind of explain it. But I'm just, I'm kind of like you were, like I want to see Thrawn already because they're like building him up, but I do kind of think they're going to space this thing out, and we won't really get to him.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Or Ezra until like pretty late in the run.
Yeah,
maybe either second to last or last episode.
There's some like corny stuff in these episodes, like that is just Star Wars-ish, you know, that you just have to put up with. Like, you know, when they're sitting in a space station or like a space craft or whatever. It just seems like such a tin can, you know, like it just seems so like green screen, like they're just sitting there in a green screen environment. You just know it's fake, but it's like, you know, Star Wars. You just have to accept it.
Oh, I didn't push up too much against that, but you feel those scenes maybe looked like too obvious, like sets or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's. I will say, like, I mean, I assume they do use, you know, green screen and stuff, but like, at least none of it's as obvious as that was one problem with the prequels. Is like, I think the green screen technology or whatever they used was much newer then.
Okay.
And so, like, if you watch those movies, you can especially tell, like, everything looks fake.
Right.
And so it doesn't help those movies. I feel like these later ones, like, use, like, a mix of practical and green screen and look a little bit better in that respect.
Yeah, I mean, have practical movies always been more expensive than green screen?
Well, I think green screen backgrounds and stuff by itself does save money. But now where they're actually doing a lot of like really intricate computer generated you know, effects with effects houses and stuff, I think some of those probably are getting to the point where they're more expensive than a lot of practical things, you know.
Okay.
And so I do wonder about that kind of stuff. I mean, some of these superhero movies we watch too, I'm like, if they use too many effects, sometimes it does get to the point where you feel like you're just watching a cartoon, even though you're watching, you know, a live action thing. To the point where I'm like, maybe they could mix in more practical. Like, they're always going to have a mix of both, I think. But I remember we had that complaint when we watched Quantumania, where it's like, nothing here feels real.
Yeah.
Like, it all feels fake and green screened. And
It takes you out of the movie so much.
yeah, that movie especially, like, and then I've seen others that I'm like, well, I know, like, they are have to be using some of that stuff here, but it feels like there's at least enough of a mix where it doesn't feel weird.
Yeah.
And it feels like there's still something a little bit you can hold on to.
Right.
Whereas, yeah, I remember watching Quantumania, and especially all those scenes that actually take place on the quantum realm.
Yeah.
And you're just like, boy, this all just feels fake. None of it,
Don't
you
know
know,
up from down. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. But yeah, overall, still enjoying Ahsoka. Looking forward to the next episode.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I really have any predictions for the next episode. It's hard to.
Yeah, I don't know where it's going right now. I expect a showdown between Ahsoka and Balon, because she's headed towards him, right?
Yeah, it seems like they're trying to track them down. I do feel like we will get a scene where Hera tries to help in some way, whether that's her going by herself or her, you know, taking a few people that are loyal to her.
Yeah. Maybe she gets caught in some crossfire or something.
To me, the thing I think I'm most interested in is just how. I think maybe Ezra and Thrawn actually had to work together to get that map to him. Because it seems to me like they're basically stranded on an island, and they know they have to survive, get off eventually, maybe.
I don't know. I mean, it sounds to me like Ezra was willing to make the sacrifice just so Thrawn doesn't survive. So, I mean, instead of helping him survive, I would think he'd rather just be like, no, let's just die here. Sacrifice himself.
One thing I notice about Star Wars is, like, main characters very seldomly die.
Okay.
It just seems that way, or like, you know, so it's like I don't know if we'll get any like major deaths in this series.
I feel like those stormtrooper guns could be a lot more effective if they could just hold the button instead of having to push it and like it fires a new laser.
Yeah.
If they just hold that button and move the gun
like a machine gun.
Yeah, thing? They'd be solid. They'd be unstoppable then.
stormtroopers are famously the worst shots in all of fiction.
Yeah.
Pew, pew, pew. We hit nobody.
They gotta get like yelled at every time they come back to their headquarters. Like, how do you not fucking hit anything every time?
Actually, maybe they are like Nazis, but maybe they are just like, we don't really want to be doing this, so we're gonna shoot, but we're gonna miss like all the time. We're following orders, but we're just really poor shots.
Actually, in World War II, or maybe it was like a Korean War or something, like they figured out that soldiers, the new ones, when you send them out to fight, they purposely fire above the enemy's head, like just a little bit above, so they don't actually hit anybody. And it's just like a normal reaction. Like you actually don't want to kill anybody, so you just pull up a little bit.
That is interesting. Like, yeah, I mean, how hard, like, if you're, like, drafted into war, like, that's got to be insanely tough anyway, but just actually, like, get in the headspace where you're actually willing to kill somebody.
For you and me, that's tough. For some people, that's like a dream come true.
It would maybe be a little easier if you were literally in the fight against the Nazis.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, yeah, I can recognize this as, like, a real evil that
like
needs to
black
be stopped.
and white.
Yeah. But, like, something like Vietnam or, where you're like, yeah, we probably shouldn't even be here.
Yeah.
Then I could definitely, see stuff like that.
Yeah, I'd just start a new life right there. All right, so I live here now, and this is my life.
You do wonder how many people in war just do go AWOL.
Yeah.
I would have to think about it. Be like, I'm just going to go off in the other direction from where the fighting is, hope I can land somewhere safe.
Yeah.
And, like, I'll just hide out and hopefully things will eventually end.
Yeah, for sure. If I got drafted into a war that I thought was unjust, I would just try to make my way into my own little space somewhere.
I would totally find my way into Canada or whatever.
Some bordering country that's not involved at all.
A lot of people did that, and like I don't blame them at all.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I don't know how we got to Ahsoka to draft dodging, but we managed somehow. But anyway, guys, in conclusion, if you will, please subscribe to us both on the YouTube channel and in audio form on your podcast service of choice. Leave us thumbs up, positive reviews, and just for me, please go to Amazon and buy Becker, the complete series on DVD. And maybe start one of those change.org petitions. I don't think those actually do anything, but why not? We want to get Becker on streaming. And also, let's get that either Blu-ray or 4K conversion. Sure.
Yeah.
And also, if there's like some insanely like rich billionaire out there that just wants to hire all of the actors, including Ted Danson, to start up a reboot, I'm open for that as well.
Isn't he doing a show right now, Ted Danson?
I mean, he works a lot. It wouldn't surprise me. Did you ever watch The Good Place?
Yeah.
That's a great show.
Yeah. Really good show, yeah.
He did a couple of guest spots on The Orville as well as like one of the upper like I don't know.
Federation people.
Yeah. I like Ted Danson.
Yeah, he's a
great.
likable person. Yeah.
I wonder how old he is though. He's got to be up there.
He's got to be 70s.
Yeah, he's got to be at least in his 70s.
Yeah.
All right, guys. I think after that we'll wrap things up. AJ, have you back up for Twitter yet?
I don't know if I can. Don't you need like your social security and everything to sign up now?
By now you might. They haven't asked me for it yet. Man, I don't even know if I want to plug it. Yeah, I guess. You can find me on Twitter at Zach Jones Live, ZachJonesLive. But that's going to do it for all of our shenanigans and poppycock this week. Please, please, please tune in again next week. Bye, guys.
Take care.